let's find out what's in the box. Come on, you're all saying. Come on, get a move on. We want to know what's in the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? I wonder. Here we go. Oh, I say, look at that! A golden apple. My goodness me. A golden apple. Just think what you could do with a golden apple. Well, this story is actually called The Three Golden Apples, but my budget would only allow me to buy one golden apple. I mean, that costs me a year's salary as it is. So, the story of the three golden apples. One last sip of water if you don't mind. So once upon a time, there was a king and a queen and a princess. She was called Princess Isabel, and she was such a happy girl. Oh, she was happy. She filled up the palace with joy, and the king and the queen were always smiling. It was a very, very happy and peaceful palace, and a very, very happy and peaceful kingdom. Until one awful day, Princess Isabel became ill. She became very ill. She became seriously ill. And the king and the queen, they lost their smiles and they began to worry, and they paced around the palace saying, what are we going to do about Isabel? She's really, really ill. And there was a whole queue of doctors, wise doctors with long beards, even the women, and they went, I wonder what we can do. And they would give her medicines and give her potions and give her pills, but nothing seemed to work on poor Isabel. She got worse and worse and worse. And the poor king and the poor queen, they worried and worried and worried. What can we do? And the doctors with their beards, they tutted and they shook their heads like this. And they thought that nothing could be done. But luckily, one day, in came a funny little man.
Your Majesty!
What do you want? Said the king. What do you want? Said the queen. Can't you see we're upset about our daughter Isabel?
Well, Your Majesty, that's exactly why I'm here. I reckon that all you need to do is find 3 golden apples and let her eat them, and then she'll become cured. Just like that. My goodness me, said the king. Do you have these 3 golden apples? No, unfortunately.
Do you know where to find these 3 golden apples?
No. Sorry, but you seem like a very clever king. I'm sure you can work out a way of finding 3 golden apples. Bye!
This man, I should say, had a very small part in the story. So, that very afternoon, the king made a proclamation, an announcement. Now listen, everyone, he said. Whoever shall find 3 golden apples and cure Princess Isabel will have anything they want. I will reward them greatly. They can even marry my daughter Isabel. Wow. Well, as you can imagine, this announcement, it made its way right through the kingdom. And outside, you could hear the barking dogs. Can you hear the barking dogs? It's because they heard the announcement and they tried passing it on in dog language. Ruff, ruff, ruff. You hear that? Ruff. Anyway, back to the story. The announcement was made and it went far and wide, and it reached the ears of 3 brothers. Bartholomew, Tarquin, and Tom. They lived on a small farm on the other side of the kingdom. And it just so happened, yep, you've guessed right, it just so happened that in their garden they had an apple tree, and on that apple tree grew 9 golden apples. 9 of them. Now, they'd grown up with this apple tree, and the golden apples, well, they never once fell off, And after a while, they got very used to these golden apples. They thought that maybe every apple tree had 9 golden apples on them. But when they heard the proclamation, the announcement from the king that 3 golden apples could cure Princess Isabel, and you might even get to marry Princess Isabel, they thought, "Ooh, I wonder." In fact, they did that. I wonder. So Bartholomew, the eldest brother, said, Father, I'm the eldest, the strongest, the bravest, and quite frankly, the most handsome. Hey. And I think it is my duty to take 3 apples to see Princess Isabel and see if I can cure her. It would be quite nice to have a princess around our house, wouldn't it? Oh, all right, said the father, who has a very tiny part in this story as well. So, Bartholomew, the eldest brother, went to the tree in the garden and plucked 3 golden apples, the 3 biggest golden apples off the tree, put them in a basket, put a cloth over them to keep them fresh and to keep the gnats off them, and went on his way to find the palace. And of course, it wasn't long before he'd entered the wood when he came across a little old lady.
Oh, it's me again. Oh, I do love these stories. Oh, hello, everyone. Hello. I'm a little old lady. Yeah, a little old lady. And, oh, my dear, what have you got in your basket? That's a very big basket. What have you got in your basket?
Oh, go away, little old lady. What's it to you?
Oh, go on, tell me. What have you got in your basket?
I have got slimy toads and nothing else. Slimy toes, you nosy old hag. Mind your own business.
Well, I say, said the little old lady. I say. Well, in that case, slimy toads it shall be.
Well, after this, Bartholomew made his way to the palace. And when he reached the palace gates, there were some guards outside who gave him a shifty look like this. Or even like this. What are you doing? What do you want here? Oh, I've got 3 golden apples in my basket, said Bartholomew, and I'm off to cure Princess Isabel. Oh, well, in that case, you better come in, said the guards. And the guards led him down the corridors into a great big room where the king and the queen sat on their thrones. Who are you and what have you got? I'm Bartholomew, said Bartholomew, and here in this basket I've got 3 golden apples. Well, give them to me, said the king, and he grabbed them, pulled back the cloth. But inside there weren't 3 golden apples, there were 3 slimy toads. Disgusting, said the king. Disgusting. And he slapped Bartholomew, who fell backwards, went out the room, fell down the stairs, bumpity, 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 bump. Basket, toads, and everything. He went back to his daddy, crying, Oh, daddy, daddy, daddy. The 3 golden apples. They only went to turn into slimy toads, didn't they? Don't worry, father, said the second son, Tarquin. I'll go. I'm sure I can do a better job than big brother Bartholomew. So, Tarquin went out into the garden and plucked 3 golden apples, the next 3 biggest ones, off the apple tree. Put them in a basket, put a cloth over them to keep the gnats off, and took them to see Princess Isabel. And on his way to the palace, of course, he went through that same wood that Bartholomew had gone through. And yet again, he met...
Oh, it's me again, the little old lady. Oh, I do love these stories when I keep appearing just like that. Hello, oh, how are you? Oh, what have you got in your basket? Go on, tell me.
What? Mind your own business, old hag.
Oh, go on, tell me, what have you got in your basket? I really want to know what you've got in your basket. Hang on, I've got something in my teeth. What have you got in your basket?
Ha! Slithery snakes, old woman. Slithery snakes, and mind your own business.
Well, in that case, slithery snakes it will be.
Well, Tarquin went on his way to the palace, and again when he got to the door, the palace guards gave him the shifty looks, which is almost the stink eye, but not quite, like that, and said, "What do you want here?" And Tarquin said, "I've got 3 golden apples for Princess Isabel. Please let me in." "Oh, well, if you've got 3 golden apples, you better come down with me." So they led him in along the corridors into a great big room where sat the king and the queen on their thrones. "Who are you and what have you got?" "I'm Tarquin. I've got a basket with 3 golden apples in." Well, the king was a little bit cautious, but he was eager to make Isabel better. Okay, give me the basket then. And he cautiously, that means sort of slowly, with a slightly worried look about your face, slowly and cautiously pulled back the fabric, and inside weren't 3 golden apples, but
3 slithery snakes.
Disgusting, thought the king, and he slapped him twice, like that. And Tarquin, he fell backwards, fell out the room, tumbled down the stairs, bumpity, 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 bump. Basket, snakes, and everything. He went back crying to his daddy, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, those golden apples, they turned into slithery snakes." "Don't worry, Papa," said the youngest son, Tom. "I'll sort it out. I'll go and see Isabel. I'll take the last 3 golden apples." "All right," said the father, who really did have a small part in this story. Anyway, Tom went into the garden and plucked the 3 golden apples off the tree, put them in the basket, put a cloth over them to keep the gnats off them, went on his way, went into the woods, and straight away, yes, you've guessed it, me again. Oh, I do love these stories. How are you? I say, what have you got in your basket? What have you got in your basket? "Oh, well, old lady, I have got 3 golden apples." "3 golden apples? Well, I never. In that case, 3 golden apples they shall be. But tell me, dearie, who are the apples for?" "Oh, they're for Princess Isabel. I'm going to marry her." "Oh, my dear. Oh, how lovely. Oh, how gorgeous. Oh, I do love a royal wedding. Oh, my goodness me. But if you're going to marry her, you might need more than just a basket of apples. Here, hold on a minute. Rustle, 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 rustle." That's her rustling in her bag. "Rustle, rustle, rustle. How about this? You might need this, a silver whistle." "Oh, thank you very much, little old lady. That's very kind of you." So he took the silver whistle and put it in his pocket, sort of scratching his head a bit, wondering how a silver whistle could help him, and he went on his way. Anyway, he finally got to the palace, and again the guards gave him the stinky eye. Well, not quite the stinky eye, the shifty looks. "Who are you and what do you want?" "Oh, I've come with 3 golden apples." "Yeah, likely story," said the guards. "Likely story. Like those other ones. Those other ones, eh? What was slithery snakes and slimy toads? Yeah, 3 golden apples. My foot. No, honestly, I've got 3 golden apples and please let me in." "All right then," said the guards, and they let him in, and they walked him along through the corridors and into a great big room where the king and the queen sat on their thrones. "Who are you and what do you want?" "I am Tom, and here in my basket I've got 3 golden apples." "Of course you have. My foot, 3 golden apples. Pah!" "No, honestly, I've got 3 golden apples." And Tom looked so honest that the king couldn't resist. Well, he took the basket cautiously and slowly, and he pulled back the fabric, and indeed, inside the basket were 3 golden apples. Well, he took the basket off of Tom, and quickly ran down the corridors, followed by the queen and all the courtiers and all the servants and Tom himself. And they went into Princess Isabel's room where she was lying, and she was so pale and her eyes were closed and she looked so very sick. Well, the king took one of the golden apples and wafted it under her nose. And he noticed that her face just twitched a little bit. Just a little twitch, not much. She was still bright white. And then he took a penknife and he cut a little bit of the apple off and he popped it in between her lips, and one eye opened. Bing! Another eye opened. Bing! She started to chew on the little bit of apple. And then she sighed. Oh! And then she took another bite. The king was still holding the apple. And another bite. And another bite. And she began to smile, and the colour came back to her face. And then she reached out and she took a second apple herself, and she ate the second apple herself. And she washed this down with a little rinse of water. And then the colour was right back in her cheeks, and she stood up, and in fact she boinged up in bed, boing, 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 like that. And she took the third apple and she bit it, and she ate the whole apple. And then she leapt out of bed and she started doing cartwheels and somersaults all around the room. She was so happy. She was radiant. She was like the sun. And she was so beautiful. When Tom saw the smile on her face, "Papa," said Isabel, "Papa, where did you get these golden apples? I must marry the person who gave me this. Show me him, or even her. I really don't mind." And the room parted. The courtiers moved aside, the servants moved aside, and there at the back of the room stood Tom. And Tom looked at Isabel, and Isabel looked at Tom, and little heart-shaped butterflies flew around the room. Hands on heart, please. Take a deep breath and sigh. Oh, he's so handsome, thought Isabel. She's so pretty, thought Tom. But the king was worried. Oh no, what have I done? What have I done? I can't have Princess Isabel marry a peasant. She's a princess. He's a peasant. We can't have this. So he looked at Tom and he said, "Okay, before I let you marry my daughter Isabel, you must prove yourself worthy of her hand in marriage. So I will set you a task. Now this is going to sound a little bit odd, but my daughter Isabel has a strange collection of pets. She has 100 hares and she keeps them in the royal stables. Your job will be to let out the hares in the morning and look after them all day, feed them, and bring them back in the evening. If there's any hair missing, you will not marry my daughter. Okay?" "All right," said Tom, thinking this was just a little bit weird, but he agreed. So, in the morning, the king opened the door of the royal stables and out rushed 100 hares, mad as hatters they were, going and bouncing all over the place. And by the time the last one had left the stables, the first one was well away it was. What am I going to do, thought Tom. What am I going to do? How am I going to look after this lot all day? Well, he really didn't know what to do, and in his panic, he fumbled around his jacket and his hand touched the pocket where the silver whistle was. I wonder, thought Tom, even though he didn't have a beard. I wonder. Well, he blew on the whistle. And back came 100 hares right at his feet, and they just looked up at him going, like that, 100 hares. Fantastic, thought Tom. This is a magic whistle. This is brilliant. So for the rest of the day, he relaxed. He let the hares wander off and do whatever they wanted to, which meant he could spend the day just gazing at clouds and thinking of Isabel's face. Oh. If I'm telling too many of these love stories, please let me know. But I just love them. We all need a bit of love, don't we? Anyway, evening came and he blew on the magic whistle and back came 100 hares, which followed Tom all the way back to the royal stables. The king counted them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 100, and he was furious. Oh, he fumed. Oh! But he looked at Tom and said, right, you've done it once. I want you to do it a second time before you marry her. Oh, all right, said Tom, thinking this was just a little bit unfair. But he agreed to do it. But he didn't realise that the king was coming up with some scheming little plan, the crafty devil. Anyway, the following morning, the king opened up the royal stables and out came the 100 hares, boinging and dancing and jumping all over the place. But this time, Tom wasn't really that concerned. He let them do their own thing. He let them eat as much grass as they wanted to, dance and play and doing and do basically all the things that hares like to do. I must admit, the hares were beginning to get quite fat because they'd eaten so much grass and so many dandelions. Oh, the hares, they love their dandelions. Anyway, in the afternoon, Tom saw a strange little old lady. Oh, me! No, not the same little old lady. A different little old lady coming towards him, riding on a donkey. This little old lady looked very scruffy indeed. She had a scruffy old scarf on her head, a scruffy shawl, a scruffy smock, and scruffy clogs, and she was riding a scruffy donkey. But straight away, Tom realised that this was actually the Queen in a not very clever disguise. He recognised her face, but she thought it was a brilliant disguise. She was really so proud of herself. Excuse me, said the peasant. Excuse me, I'm just a little poor old lady. I'm a peasant. I'm so poor. Oh, my goodness me, I have no money whatsoever. No money, and I've got 17 children at home, and they're all so hungry, and I was wondering if I could buy one of your hares. Even though I have no money, I'll buy it with, yes, I've got a few coins. Let me buy one of your hares, please. I just need one hare. That's all. Well, thought Tom, I know exactly what you're trying to do. You can't buy one of these hares, said Tom to the peasant lady, but you can earn one if you want. Oh, yes, please, said the peasant, queen, whatever. Yes, please, let me have a hare. Well, said Tom, if you get off your donkey, you can come and give me 3 rosy kisses. Then you can have one of the hares. Oh, my goodness me, thought the queen. I've never been asked this sort of thing before. I don't know if I could do it, but she really needed one of the hares. So she climbed off the donkey, walked up to Tom and kissed him 3 times really quickly on the cheek. And then she climbed back on the donkey, clutching one of the hares, and went off. But just before she reached the palace, Tom blew on the whistle, and doing, 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 back came the hare. Evening came along, and he blew on the whistle again, and all 100 hares followed Tom back to the royal stables. When the king counted them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 100, he was furious, even more furious than the day before. Oh, he said, well, you've done it once, you've done it twice, but before you marry my daughter, you must do this a 3rd time. Oh, honestly, thought Tom, this is just so unfair. This is just so typical of a king like that. But he agreed to do it. But again, the king had a crafty plan. Well, the following day, the king opened up the stable door. Doing, 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 doing. Out came 100 hares, mad as hatters, all of them, and they danced and played all over the place. Tom wasn't concerned one bit. By afternoon, he saw a little old man coming towards him on a donkey. This little old man, he had a dusty cap on, he had a scruffy jacket on, and trousers covered in patches and very, very scruffy clogs, and the donkey he was riding was very scruffy as well. Straight away, Tom realised it was the king in a not very cunning disguise, but he thought he'd go along with it. Excuse me, said the beggar. Excuse me, my good man, I'm just a beggar. I'm so poor. I'm so very, very poor. My goodness me, I've hardly got any money whatsoever. And I've got 92 children at home, and they're all very, very hungry, and very, 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 very hungry. And I was wondering if I could possibly purchase one of your fine hares. Not that I've got any money or anything, but maybe I can throw a few pennies your direction. Well, said Tom, I'm afraid these hares, they're not for sale, but tell you what, you can earn one if you want. Earn one? But how? Well, if you get off your donkey and you let me thwack you 3 times with a branch from a wild rose bush, then I'll let you take a hare. What? Thought the king. No one had ever asked him that before. That's not the sort of thing that a king could do that easily, but he really needed one of the hares. So he climbed off the donkey. He walked over to Tom. He bent over, and Tom took a branch from the wild rose bush and thwacked him once. Ow! Twice. Ow! 3 times. Ow! On the king's backside. And the king climbed onto the donkey, holding a hare, and he walked off. Very, very saddle sore indeed. The king had almost reached the palace when Tom blew on the silver whistle, and doing, 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 back came the hare. Well, evening came. Tom took the 100 hares back to the royal stable. The king counted them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 100. He was furious. Oh, how did he do it? Oh, how did he do it? Oh! Okay, you can marry my daughter, but I have one last request. Oh, typical, thought Tom. Typical. This is what kings are always doing in these sorts of stories. Typical. Before I let you marry my daughter, you must do this. And he pulled out a sack. This is a truth sack. This is a fact sack. You must fill up this sack with truths and facts, and only when it is full, only then can you marry my daughter. Well, a smile appeared on Tom's face. Okay then, I've got a couple of facts I can put into there, a couple of truths. Just the other day, while I was looking after Princess Isabel's hares, I happened to notice a funny little old man. And do you know what? He was no, I'll get my days mixed up. A funny little old lady. And do you know what? It was the Queen. Oh, the Queen was dressed as a peasant. Stop it there, said the king. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. And the Queen, well, she was looking so raggedy, and she got off the donkey and she really wanted a hare. Stop it, stop it. I'm not listening. La 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 la. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And she said to me, I want one of your hares. And she gave me 3 kisses for it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, said the king. And the following day, this funny little old man who turned out to be the king wearing the scruffiest clothes, stop it, stop it, stop it, said the king. He jumped off his donkey, he bent over and he let me thwack him 3 times with a stick. Stop it, okay, you can marry Isabel right now. I've had enough truths for one day. Thank you. Well, of course, Tom and Isabel got married that very afternoon. And even though he was a peasant, and even though she was a princess, they were very much, truly in love. And of course, my friends, they lived happily ever after. And so, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this story. Keep those ideas coming. Keep contacting us, stay in touch, and remember, if you've enjoyed these stories and you want to listen to some more with the marvellous music of Martin Thornton, please visit our website where you can buy them at £3 a story, and that's the special Crazy Times prices. And in the meantime, please stay safe, please stay healthy, please look after each other. TTFN for now.